This episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by Magic Spoon. With Magic Spoon, you get the amazing flavor of your favorite childhood cereal, but with more protein and less sugar. Go to magicspoon.com/raw today to grab a variety pack, which comes with 4 flavors, and each serving has 0 sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and just 140 calories. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So get your next delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/raw today and use code RAW to get $5 off. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here, youtube.com/Steven Larson, twitch.tv/Steven Larson, and of course, wherever audio podcasts can be found. Of course, today is Ask Going In Raw Day with all the events of WrestleMania and the big WWE Endeavor deal and Vince McMahon coming back to creative. We know you guys have a bunch of questions. We have a bunch of answers, or at least our answers. And of course, for this episode every Wednesday, we reach out to the friendos on the Patreon, patreon.com/Steven Larson. Also, YouTube channel members, all you got to do is click join. It's a great way to support Going In Raw. You get to participate in our predictions challenge every single month. May is going to be a huge month because we got like qualifier or advantage pay-per-views and then like a whole weekend of pay-per-views that we're going to be participating in. Should be a lot of fun. We got 164 friendos on the last round. Let's try to get that to 200 friendos participating for the month of May. So there's all that. We got a lot of questions to get through, Larson. So
we do.
Why don't we go ahead and kick this
We'll
off?
start things off with Ryan Crum. Ryan asks, is Cody still the one to dethrone Roman? If so, how long does he have to go till he gets to Roman and the titles again? In my estimation, yes. He's still the guy. I think if he wasn't going to be the guy after Mania, he wouldn't have confronted Roman at the beginning of Raw. I think what they're going to do is Cody's still going to want to finish the story, and they're going to. I mean, my qualm about the story leading into Mania is that, as it relates to the story of the Bloodline, Cody faced not a whole lot of adversity in that story.
Yeah.
Every time Heyman tried to get in his head, Cody had a response for it. Mm-hmm. Every time Roman tried to antagonize him, Cody had an answer for it. Mm-hmm. He thought he had the answer for Solo too, probably end up costing him the match. Mm-hmm. So now he's got to go through Brock. He's probably has to go through a bunch of different people on his way back to facing off against Roman again. I guess the real question is, when? Is it going to be July at Madison Square Garden? Is Cody going to win Money in the Bank? Say, at Madison Square Garden, my dad won the title via countout, I believe. I'm going to take that title from Roman. Or are they going to wait all the way to Mania 40 in Philadelphia? I know I just saw something today that Cody was talking about Rocky. Mm-hmm. Are we going to see Cody ending WrestleMania, not just holding both those titles, but running up the steps by the Rocky statue, holding up both those titles?
Flying high now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I love that. I got a much more boring answer. They don't know. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a wrestling thing. I think they got a hot hand right now, and his name is Roman Reigns, and he's best for business. And, Roman said in the presser, we're only at the 3rd inning. So, if that's
that means
true,
6 more years of this, Steve.
Yeah. In that case, we're going to get a Bruno reign with at least like the Universal title, which I guess it's possible. But and I say possible in like a 2% botch way, but, I honestly think that they're just riding with Roman, understanding that they have pieces that they could totally pull the trigger on. And Cody is probably at the top of that list. I absolutely agree with that. But, you can't discount Seth Rollins. You can't discount at some point Sami Zayn. I'd love for them to try to revisit what they did in 2020 with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns and see if the crowd can elevate Jey past a tag team guy and see what might have happened back then had we had crowds and not TV screens doing the thumbs up and the thumbs down stuff. So my boring answer is they don't know, and it's not a concern for them right now. They don't need to worry about that right now. They don't have to make a decision right now because Roman's hot. you know, and I know there are plenty of people out there who are like, I'm tired of Roman. It's the same thing every time. I get that. But from a business perspective, they would probably disagree with that. So, yeah, in advance of, you know, TV deals and streaming deals and stuff, I don't think they're going to change something that big. I don't necessarily think the Endeavor deal or the streaming stuff played too heavily into the decision. I think the decision was basically business is good right now. Roman's down to stick around and do what he needs to do on the schedule that we've all agreed to. So there's no reason to change it up. So that's my answer is, honestly, I don't think they know, and I don't think it's that much of a concern to them because they've done such a good job of setting up Cody, Seth, maybe a Kevin Owens, maybe a Sami Zayn, maybe somebody, maybe a Gunther, maybe people that we haven't even really thought about. I think that they don't know, and they don't really particularly need to know right now.
You think? I think I know who they're waiting to build up to get that
Von
spot.
Wagner.
LA Knight.
Oh man.
Yeah.
We'll see if
Although
he's
it's not
on.
Looking great for LA Knight, especially if Vince is back in creative.
We'll see if he's on SmackDown on Friday, man. Do you think? Let me ask. Do you think? So the reports that LA Knight and Bobby Lashley are supposed to be there at night 2. You think that was Vince? You think Vince threw Shane in instead? I think he did too. Yeah. Yep. That's a bummer.
Yep. That is a bummer. That is a bummer. I got a question somewhat related to Ryan's from MOS Brethren. MOS Brethren asks, should the WWE spend the next year to build Cody up by having him beat all of the opponents that are still in WWE Roman face during his reign and build up a faction of his own to beat Roman at next year's Mania? I think the first part would be interesting in terms of Cody, and you have to make like a huge obvious deal of it, but you see Cody go through a lot of the same opponents that Roman had during his run, beat them on his way back to Roman. I don't think you need to do like an official full-on faction for Cody, though. Yeah, I think this is his journey, and it should be his journey. And you know, part of the reason I was kind of not into the idea of Cody being too involved in Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn stories, I felt like that was their story, part of, you know, their story of reconnecting of their reunion. Didn't necessarily need Cody's story to intertwine with it. Just as I don't necessarily think Cody's story necessarily needs to intertwine with anybody else's story to form a faction. Mm-hmm. A loose alliance, sure, but not a full-on faction.
Well, what you just said, that's what his dad used to have, loose alliances. You know, he would join forces with people like Magnum TA or whatever. And that's how he cut his path. I think Cody is a solo guy. I don't think that he's a faction guy. That being said, I liked when Cody was a bad guy on the independents and his thing was I'm rich. He would fly the private planes. He'd have the big fur coats.
Oh, you want the Kiss the Ring era of Cody to get back.
You know, I think there's a way you could do that so the crowd would really buy into it. I think that could be fun. And I feel like that guy could use a faction. I think. Oh yeah. Like the 1986 Four Horsemen stuff where they're, you know, the jet flying, wheeling, dealing, kiss stealing.
Yeah, all that.
All that shit where they'd fly in cool planes and stuff, and have fancy 1986 Camaros or whatever. Yeah. I think that could be fun, and I think people could buy into that. But I feel like Cody's story is, I don't need anybody. I just need to be me, and I need to work my own magic. So yeah, I don't think he needs a faction. I think it could be fun, though.
I hope at some point they bring back the Kiss the Ring Cody, because he was actually really entertaining in that role.
I agree, and I also think one thing that could be a lot of fun is, and you might disagree with this, and I don't know how, like maybe once Vince is gone again, bring Arn back and have be his coach. I miss that Waffle House menu.
Oh, I know.
I miss the weird Glock stuff. Him blocking the black mass was my favorite thing ever. It really was. And I don't see that happening again. He's not going to like block an F5 or something.
No, you wouldn't think so.
Or a Roman Superman.
Oh, you have Arn block a Superman punch with his forearm. Just puts his
yeah,
arm up.
That'd be amazing. But I always liked, you know, the Nightmare Family. I thought that was kind of cool. It wasn't like really a faction. It was an entourage. Yeah. And I think if Cody had an entourage, I think that could be fun. But I don't know if that'll happen.
An entourage or a faction, I don't think necessarily works for face Cody. Heel Cody, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Got another Roman Cody question here from Andrew Berg. Andrew asked, does Roman defend the belts before his rematch with Cody? If so, who is it against?
Yes, he does that. I think they are going to be fewer and further between.
So let's map this out. So we got King and Queen of the Ring. That's the next Saudi show. That's the end of May. Probably.
You don't think he's going to be a Backlash?
No.
In Puerto Rico?
I'd be surprised.
Cody versus Brock might headline that one if that's the case. That might be the case.
Unless
they use the Bad Bunny match.
Yeah, it could be Bad Bunny and Ray against Priest and Dom.
That could be. Yeah.
And after that, you got.
Well, he's going to be at the Saudi show. He'll defend. Yeah. Oh, he'll defend that title at the Saudi show. Yeah.
Next one after that might be Money in the Bank because in the United Kingdom they want to make it a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then SummerSlam.
So Money in the Bank.
That's early July.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think like who would be the guy there. Like, is there a British superstar?
Sheamus.
We all know he's not actually British. You just meant he's from the general area.
Yeah, sorry.
We're going to get comments. It's the only reason I put that
okay,
out.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that too, and that could be a freaking killer match. That'd be pretty awesome. That'd be great. I like that.
Or they could do Gunther, but I don't think they're going to have Gunther lose for a while.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Sheamus can eat a loss, and Sheamus can put on a really banger match, and people would really be behind Sheamus. Yeah,
exactly.
I can see that. Yeah, so maybe Sheamus at Money in the Bank. And then, at SummerSlam, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do the rematch at SummerSlam.
Oh, do Cody and Roman? You could.
Maybe. Like, who's another big name? Like, they could build up any number of people.
They could, if Orton's back in time, they could do that.
Oh, yeah, Orton, huh?
A year after they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Lashley. We haven't gotten Lashley versus Bloodline Roman yet.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Trying to think off the top of my head who else.
Sorry, I think Hugh Long Heavy's being serious. He says probably too soon to put Tyler Bate against Roman for London. yeah, it's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take. It will Trent Seven back.
Yeah, I know. Sky M here says Seth at SummerSlam, and that would be something if Roman finally beats Seth. The one thing he hasn't done.
I could see that being a deal
at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I could close the book on that part of his career. At least
I could see that. You could do. Oh man, he's not going to be there by Money in the Bank. But I was going to say Pete Dunne. Like, if they really put a lot behind him, like right now,
they have to start right now.
They have to start like yesterday.
Yeah,
and I don't think that's going to happen. No, perfect. White Brownie says no Amdar.
There we go.
Supernova
Sessions.
Oh, Roman, give me a title.
Oh, I can't wait to finish watching NXT to see no.
I know, and they got the Heritage Cup. I'm excited about that.
That's
cool.
Great. But yeah, definitely. If the plan is Roman Cody down the line, whether it's SummerSlam, whether it's Mania next year, whatever it is, Roman's going to defend the title, and it's going to be against pretty much anybody who's a face that he hasn't defended the title.
Hey, a solid guy who's been gone for a little while, AJ Styles. You know, it's like, we all know AJ's not going to win. They always do a really good job being like, oh wow, this guy could win. I don't know if I'd feel it for AJ, but I'm down for that feud, the Good Brothers versus the Bloodline. I'm down for that.
That'd be good. That could be good.
And again, it's three guys. They don't have an answer for Solo, so you know how that match would end.
Not only the Enforcer, the X Factor.
Do you think they got to start mixing up how these match finishes go, dude?
I mean, if they were, the WrestleMania would have been the time to do it.
I was talking to an old friend of ours who used to work for WWE, and he was like, yeah, that match finish, the main event had Vince and Michael Hayes written all over it. Maybe there's cycling some. Get Jason Jordan on one of those main events, man.
I know.
Get somebody different.
I know. It felt very copy and paste.
It did, yeah. It's getting to the point. It's getting kind of the point with MJF in that Dynamite ring, you know, or the nonchalant kick to the balls as soon as there's a ref bump.
Yeah,
like, let's start mixing up the finishes a little bit. How about?
I know. I remember that small stretch where Roman is actually winning matches clean or without interference.
There's a line of demarcation there where it's like certain guys need the overbooked ref bump finish, and then there's the people underneath who really don't. Like AJ Styles, he doesn't need the ref bump. You know, there are guys down here, they don't need the ref bump.
I mean, if I remember correctly, I know it was a triple threat match, so no DQ and countouts and such. But at Mania, when he stacked Edge and Daniel Bryan, I don't remember the Usos getting involved in that one.
Yeah, I don't think they would have needed to be, because in a triple threat, like, that's sort of an overbook thing in the first place, because you have 3 people. So that wouldn't shock me either. No, that was a pretty big deal. He stacked.
That was a massive deal. He stacked 2 Hall of Fame. Well, 1 official Hall of Famer, 1 who will be a Hall of Famer at some point.
Stacked him, dude.
Stacked him.
Yeah.
That still boggles my mind they actually did that.
It's pretty awesome, though, isn't it?
That was pretty cool. Sebastian Garcia says, do you think Roman's reign is too big to end anywhere but WrestleMania?
Oh, people are saying the Usos did,
Oh, all right. Man, it was 2 years ago. I don't remember 2 years ago.
I barely remember last week. Anyways, I'm sorry. What was the question?
I forgot that Ireland was not part of the United Kingdom for a second there. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what we mean. General region.
Yes, I meant general region.
We all know what we meant.
Yes,
we don't need nitpicky
region, yes.
comments. Thank you. For Americans, what you know about. Anyways, what was the question?
Does Roman's reign need to end at WrestleMania?
Man, I thought I was going to end at Clash of the Castle. So no, I don't think so. Like, it probably should. It probably should end at WrestleMania 39. But yeah, should it? It depends, I guess. Like, are they going to do a Bruno thing? If he's going to have if he's going to have the Universal title for 8 years, then I don't know. Probably a WrestleMania would be ideal.
Yeah. I mean, WrestleMania is the largest stage they have. I know they're trying to get, the Rumble and SummerSlam to be huge stadium shows, but they don't have the legacy of WrestleMania. And that is presented on an annual basis as the largest stage in all of professional wrestling.
It should be. It should be in Saudi Arabia, so I can be enjoying a McGriddle. Make it all about
at a
me.
decent enough hour. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I don't think they offer McGriddles in the evening.
No, 10:30. No more breakfast.
Yeah, that's bunk. COVID really messed that one up.
Yep, did. But yeah, WrestleMania makes the most sense. The largest stage, largest platform, largest spotlight. Especially if you're going to really make somebody, with them being the one to beat Roman and end his run, whether it's for another year or 7 more years.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be.
I'm going to put my dog in my bedroom because she's just going off right now. So keep on talking about. How about this? I'll give you a topic. Power rank the next 10 pay-per-views Roman Reigns should lose his title at.
Next 10 pay-per-views?
Just give me 10 ideas.
10 ideas. All right. Lose, you say. 5. I mean, WrestleMania 40 makes the most sense. You spend the next year building up Cody. And you have them face off at WrestleMania 40. Cody beats Roman there. Cody's double champ. And there you go.
All right, good.
I did 1.
Good job. Well done. Yeah, that was quicker than I thought it was going to be. She just ran in here.
All right, very well.
Anyways, sorry about... Shut up, man. Sorry, everybody. Anyways, what a good time to pay some bills, Larson. What do you say?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, Magic Spoon. Steve.
Yes.
I like cereal, and ever since I was a kid, I have absolutely loved cereal. I like cereal a lot. I still eat a lot of it today. But as I've gotten older, I've realized I really got to watch out for all that sugar and all those empty carbs because I can't handle, like my midsection, can't handle that stuff like I used to when I was younger.
Nah, man, I hear you, dude. We're so old. And I got to tell you, though, Magic Spoon right here, it's got all the flavor of your childhood favorites, but with less sugar and more protein. Right now, if you go to magicspoon.com/raw, you can get your hands on a Magic Spoon variety pack. It includes 4 flavors, cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter, and has 0 grams of sugar, 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 4 to 5 net carbs, and only 140 calories per serving. As you can probably hear, this one's empty because I'm done eating it all, Larson.
Yeah, same. Yes, it is high in protein, has 0 sugar. It's keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free. As mentioned, I finished my box of this cinnamon roll Magic Spoon right here already because I was eating it all week because it's delicious. It is absolutely delicious, and it's got the protein I want before I get in my morning workouts. So go to magicspoon.com/raw to grab a variety pack and try it today. Be sure to use our promo code RAW at checkout to save $5 off your order.
And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for some weird reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, get your next delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/raw and use code RAW to save $5. Thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this episode of Going In Raw.
And this episode of Going In Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. You know, Steve, we all grow and change as we go through life, and getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process. I thought I had a pretty good idea of who Larson was until I hit my mid-20s, and it was around that time that I was really feeling overwhelmed by life and started dealing with severe anxiety. And it got to the point where I realized I had to go to therapy. And while it took me a few tries to find someone I felt comfortable talking to, once I did, I learned positive coping skills so I could better manage my anxiety and help me hopefully become a better version of me.
Absolutely, man. Therapy is a way to deepen your understanding and self-awareness. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can help you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are.
BetterHelp is completely online. It's designed to be suited to your schedule, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched up with a licensed therapist. So discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/raw today and get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. All right, man. So let's continue with the questions here. We've got Antonio Soto says, outside how the IWC feels, outside how the internet wrestling community feels, do you guys believe the other head executives and investors at Endeavor really care about how Vince goes about running creative? Ultimately, WWE did get to where it is with him, bad storytelling or not. So is that good enough for them?
I mean, I guess recent history suggests that to a degree, they don't care as far as how the day-to-day creative goes. Now, if you go back 25 years ago, there's stories of the network executives reaching out to Vince, and not necessarily because creative was bad. It was because creative was, going against standards and practices. They were getting complaints about
too spicy.
Yeah, attitude era stuff. Yeah. But I can't recall off the top of my head an instance where there was such a stretch of awful creative that the network went to Vince and say, hey, you got to do something about this. It may happen. I just don't know about it. There, of course, there's been times where the ratings get low, and what does Vince do?
Short-term pop.
Yeah. So it's Legends Night, Throwback Raw, celebrating Raw 1,244. They'll find some reason to bring back Legends.
That's a significant number, though.
I guess. I don't know. I just pulled the number out off the top of my head. That's his Band-Aid for things is, I need a pop. Give Stone Cold a call. Yeah. Bring in The Undertaker.
Yeah.
That's what he tends to do. And I mean, now that they got this deal with Endeavor, I don't know if they see the creative failing, if they see ratings go in the toilet, if they would say anything to Vince about it. I mean, I'd imagine that ratings would have to drop significantly for the network on a consistent basis for the network to be like, this ain't working. We're losing money. Tons of it.
Yeah. So the rating was really good yesterday.
For WrestleMania, though.
But it was a really good WrestleMania, like across the board. And so people were really hyped up for it. So of course they're going to tune into it. Yeah. And that's sort of an outlier, or at least that's the reason. We have seen in the past bad creative lead to bad ratings, and all things. Look, ratings today are not the same as it was ratings 3 years ago. If you want to compare ratings today to ratings 3 years ago, then you got to go 3 years ago and compare social media engagement to today, because it evens out. But ratings do matter. And in most companies, like, I think you can see cases for public backlash, social media usage, engagement them paying attention to that. Somebody here, and I'd have to verify this, Griffin of Might says Sean Ross Sapp just said on Fightful's video that Endeavor is very much aware of the backlash to Vince booking again. If you think that companies like that don't have their eyes on every possible metric, then you're crazy. They're not going to put a valuation of WWE for over $9 billion and not know exactly what they're getting into. If they do sense that, look, this Endeavor deal was supposed to be this big celebratory moment, like this huge, oh wow, we got it done and everything's great now, and then the entire like Raw After Mania response is hashtag fire Vince, hashtag worst Raw After Mania, or worst Raw, or whatever it was. Like, yeah, they're gonna know that people, they want to have the positive engagement, of course they do. Especially lately, since in the Triple H era, they've been doing this thing in the lead up to the sale, especially after every pay-per-view. They talk about engagement. They have that little graphic where it talks about most this, most that, most engagement. Well, it's gonna sully that a little bit. It's gonna stain that a little bit. So I do think that it could lead to consequences. I think it'll be interesting to know, because we don't exactly know just how strong these bonds are between Vince and the executives. Or, speaking of Fightful, Jimmy Van and Sean Ross Sapp had an excellent breakdown, especially Jimmy. He was really savvy about how he was breaking down this deal. And it honestly, from listening to him and me digesting what he's saying, it honestly does seem like Vince went out to find a deal that would include Vince.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that might be why, and I know you had a counter to this when we were talking about it privately, other people bowed out, specifically Comcast, but it doesn't seem like Comcast is in the market for acquisitions.
Well, at least not acquisition on the level of WWE. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's possible that's why, I don't know, Netflix, Disney, whoever else, ESPN, weren't, well, I know Disney and ESPN, kind of same thing, weren't interested because Vince wanted to be involved in this. Now, how much that's going to fly, or if they were like, yeah, we'll tell Vince he can be involved, but we can still, because, the voting power now, he doesn't have the voting power anymore. It's like 5 people on the board, WWE people, 6 people Endeavor. Who knows how close they are to Vince. So he's in a vulnerable spot. He needs to be careful, because if the public perception is still garbage and it continues to be garbage and everybody knows that he's there running it, that's not going to look good for him. And now he's got people above him who can say, hey, you need to back off. Whether they will or not, we have no idea.
Yeah.
But if the ratings go down significantly during a period where they're trying to cut a deal, we'll see what the ratings are next week, because they were at a high this week. And guess what? If they go down to like 1.6 million, that high of 2.2 million, that's going to bite them in the ass, because it's just a bigger percentage drop week to week.
Yeah.
So the answer is we don't know, but he doesn't have a blank check the way he did back when he literally owned the voting power of the company.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in terms of the historical context, I was just referring to his relationship with TV executives, the partnership for the most part of 30 years he's had with the USA Network.
Isn't it surprising to you, though, that like obviously the creative was trash. The ratings went down significantly because of it. And it is surprising that they never really stepped in and was like, can you stop booking? Can you hire somebody to do this? But I think what you're saying is true. The relationships were so strong, and now it's a new situation. Will those relationships, and that's the big, and I think that's the big question mark. Yeah, absolutely.
That is a massive question mark.
That could trump everything.
It could, or according to PW Insider, one of the reasons that Vince decided to go with the Endeavor deal was the relationships he had with Endeavor. I guess he'd known Ari Emanuel for 22 years, and whether Vince thinks that relationship can help him weather some rough patches in terms of ratings, like he has in the past. Don't know.
Another guy who's known Ari Emanuel for a long time, Nick Khan.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who was fine stepping up when Vince was forced out, and I will almost guarantee you Nick Khan probably preferred working with Stephanie McMahon, who will almost definitely step in if Vince is ousted from the company. That would not shock me at all. So I don't know, man. It's going to be, look, I'll just tell you this, and over the next 6 months or so, it's going to be really interesting. Personally, I would be kind of surprised if Vince was still running in the weeds, if you will, if he was still in the weeds by the end of this year. I would actually be kind of surprised. I think there's too many things. He's got a federal investigation. There are any number of things that can get him ousted from the board, from the company, and from the weeds, you know?
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about yesterday, Vince has found a way to evade consequences for his behavior for a number of years.
That's true, yeah.
And as much as I would like to hope that at some point he would face some major consequences for his actions, until it happens, I'm pessimistic that it will, just because his history has kind of told us that he's found a way to evade said consequences.
Well,
I know the situation is different here.
Yeah.
But
I don't know how many consequences there are for a guy who's like a billionaire 3 times on paper. Actual consequences for his sins, that's not going to happen. But maybe they can kick him out of wrestling, you know, which is kind of small fry compared to the things he's allegedly done. But yeah. Anyways, it remains to be seen. Odd Breakfast says, "What will it take for Vince to realize that he actively drives his fan base away?" Larson, come on, man.
Vince thinks he's a solution to all of Vince's problems. That's the thing. If Vince sees a problem, he doesn't think if he removes himself from the situation, it might get better. He thinks, oh, if there's a problem, I need more of me. I need to do more.
Yeah.
So I need to be more involved in creative. Hell, I might need to show up on TV to get people talking.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Again, history has kind of told us that that seems to be his philosophy. If there's an issue, I need to get more involved, not less.
There's the barest of minimum of self-awareness with this guy.
Yes.
Like there are times, for example, I'll just throw this out there, on the Edge and Christian show, it was a funny bit where he he ran into Christian and he says, "Don't you know, internet says I don't like you." And so I think that he's got some amount of self-awareness with his image, but what you're saying is absolutely 1,000% right. This dude will never believe that he's the reason fans are leaving. He'll never believe that. He thinks he is the fix for every wrestling problem because 40 years ago he had a vision, Larson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's true.
Yep, that seems to be
Rick Texas has a good point here. He's look at his hair and facial hair. You think this guy has any self-awareness?
Yeah.
Get out of here with that. By the way, we've got 762 people watching. I think a lot of people found us during the WrestleMania stuff, Larson, and it's great to have you all here on the YouTube.
Yeah.
If you could do us a favor, just a huge favor, costs absolutely nothing. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. Again, Larson, I got to apologize for yesterday. You know, we blasted through 200, I think 300 likes during the live stream.
Yeah, it was 400 by the time the show ended, yeah.
I was like, this is great. We're bringing Triple H on for the call, and it turned out to be Vince. So, again, I have to apologize.
Nightmare scenario. That's what
for
that.
And then his whole face, the weird mustache and the weird eyes.
Like I said, I told you, it was like staring the devil in the face. I did not.
Did you sleep okay last night?
No, I didn't, actually. I'm really tired today.
Yeah, right. Because of that.
At least subconsciously, yes.
I'm going to do my best on Friday to make sure that doesn't happen again.
See, when you say that, that makes me think the opposite's going to happen.
I'm just digging myself a hole. Let's move on to the next question. Elvin says, now that Vince is back, what storylines do you think won't get a proper end? And should we be concerned with all the talent that Paul brought back? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, I would think that all the talent that Triple H brought back, I would think they'd be concerned. Mm-hmm. As far as the storylines that might not get a proper end, any of them, any and all, it's entirely possible. I mean, I would say the one exception maybe is the Bloodline story, because I think Heyman and Roman are heavily involved in the creative in that, and they were when Vince was in charge, and I would imagine the same case was true when Triple H was in charge.
Yeah.
And as long as Heyman and Roman still are involved in crafting that story, I think that one might be more or less all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
everything else, it's entirely possible that Vince can tank all of it.
Yeah, dude. I agree with everything you're saying. As far as the people who were brought back, I mean, you saw on Raw already there were 2 people, Candice LeRae and Piper Niven, who were taken off the show. Bayley was taken off the show. Vince seems to like to keep, like, his proverbially, metaphorically, his starting 6 or his starting 5 and then one person off the bench. He does not load up these shows. That's the reason Triple H brought in all those other people is to pad it out. which means bad news for a lot of people. So I don't know. Hopefully they can just sort of ride it out until, I don't know, Vince gets voted off the board next week. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. But yeah, if you're one of those people, you're probably concerned. And hopefully you went into this eyes open, not thinking that Vince wasn't going to come back. The specter of Vince was there the entire time. So I really hope that was, if it wasn't something that occurred to the people who came back, hopefully it was explained to them as they were signing these deals. You know, the dude still has the voting power. He could still make a power move. This is a possibility. So understand that when you're signing on the dotted line here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's going to be interesting now going forward in terms of WWE's ability to sign prospective free agents. You know, we just heard yesterday, I believe, that Jay White apparently isn't coming to WWE. Now, whether that's a decision Jay White made or a decision WWE made, as far as one was not going to necessarily pursue a deal with the other, don't know.
You have to wonder if that was not necessarily a Jay White, does WWE see anything in him deal, or if that was, we've got multiple business dealings coming up here. There might be a freeze on
That's
new
entirely
names.
possible. I was going to suggest that too, that they're just not really going to sign anybody outside of developmental talent for a little while.
I think that's a possibility. By the way, over here in the YouTube chat, Lesia just gifted 5 memberships to the Going in Raw channel. Thank you so much, Lesia. She's gifted so many memberships, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Logan Sampson said, I heard Vince was heading to Portland specifically to call LA Knight Max Dupree again. That's the sole reason.
Sole reason.
You like LA Knight, you get Max Dupree. God damn it.
It's going to be interesting, though, if we turn on episode of SmackDown, I don't know, 2-3 weeks' time, and just suddenly LA Knight's Max Dupree again.
It's not
no explanation. It's just going to happen.
Not weird at all. It's actually, you know what? That's going to be, if it's normal. If this continues, that's going to be totally expected. Would be shocking. It would be shocking if we find out this Friday Vince McMahon is at TV and LA Knight has a match.
I know, and wins.
That dude wasn't winning shit in the first place. But
well, he beat Rey Mysterio right before me.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. With the interference, but still, he won a match.
Let's get that LA Knight push, man. Alex Foster here has a question. Says, why does Raw seem to be the show that gets rewritten the most? Seems like SmackDown and NXT remain untouched at times. Is there more to it than Raw just being the flagship show? Raw's 3 hours long. I think there's probably like a pretty big, just logistically speaking, I feel like Raw
maybe.
Probably.
Well, let's NXT is kind of exists on its own little island. So I don't think,
NXT is off on its own. Yeah.
I don't think Vince pays any attention to what happens on NXT. So that's just I remember us having this conversation years ago.
Yeah.
When there were a lot of reports of Vince rewriting Raw as opposed to SmackDown. And we were trying to work out like the scheduling of it as far as when scripts were drafted and submitted and all that. I remember that conversation. I don't remember how long ago it was. It was a number of years ago, though.
Sure.
And I don't know if we just came to the conclusion that Vince had the weekend to read Raw.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, and then once the process of Raw is finished, then you got, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You only have 3 days. To write SmackDown or to get to SmackDown as opposed to Raw. As soon as Monday hits, the writing team can get busy on that right away.
Yeah.
So they have a whole week to do that and then submit that to Vince, whatever, Friday, Saturday, and then Saturday, Sunday, Vince has to do what he does on that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. Yeah, that's a good point. Jonathan Vieira here says, do you guys think the sale of WWE will lead to other companies possibly looking to venture into the wrestling business with a smaller promotion? No, this is the big look. All the big conglomerates these days, all the big companies, they want the biggest fish in the ocean.
So I was talking to you before we got started about Post Wrestling had an interview, and I forgot the name. I'm sorry, of someone from CNBC.
Sure,
they brought him on to talk about the WWE deal, and one of the reasons, or some of the reasons, he suggested that Comcast didn't pursue a deal with WWE is because in terms of their acquisition priorities, something like WWE wouldn't necessarily be high on their list.
It was just Alex Sherman.
That's the name. Thank you.
Okay.
And so Alex Sherman mentioned possibility of NBC Universal buying Disney's stake in Hulu as a possibility. And also NBC Universal maybe working out a deal down the line. Nothing imminent, didn't sound like, with Warner Brothers Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those are two huge acquisitions, even compared to WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just the way, you know, it made it sound like those were taking priority rather than purchasing
right
company, you know. So, anyways, I don't know how that relates to Raw getting rewritten the most, but oh, sorry, we passed that.
Oh, we had moved on.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't sleep well last night. Devil Vince stuck in my head.
Other companies being purchased. No, WWE is the big deal. The Blind Mask says, do you think that was awesome. Do you think the AEW wrestlers asking for releases from WWE are having second thoughts now?
Yeah.
Do I think the AEW wrestlers asking for releases
for example,
to go to WWE?
Yeah. With the exception of maybe Andrade, yes.
Oh, and yeah. Even Andrade, like I know he said like recently his contract's almost up and he's 100% ready to wrestle. Or almost
ready to come back. Yeah.
But I don't know if he's going to want to go to WWE right now. Yeah, probably. I'd imagine so. Mercedes ain't coming back anytime soon, but I guarantee if Vince was ousted like for good tomorrow, she'd be back by SummerSlam. I would guarantee that. Dude. Telling you.
I don't know if I guarantee it. I mean, the odds would increase for sure, but
all my channel points, man. All my channel points on her showing up at SummerSlam if Vince is gone. Yeah. Not gonna hold me to that one.
Interesting. It's a high stakes bet there.
It really is. But yeah, you got to think people love Triple H and they love Stephanie, and Vince is crap. So like, yeah, that's gonna matter big time. Absolute 1,000%. Yeah. You want to speed round some?
Yeah, let's do that. I got one here from Cameron Bortolazzo. Are we turning back the clock to 2018 when NXT was a show to watch for greater wrestling while the main roster was very bad? It's interesting now because in 2018, NXT was a show to watch for the wrestling.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Some of the storytelling there was a bit stale because too many of the characters were kind of the same. But now NXT is the place, at least in the WWE universe, to go for stories.
Well, I feel like NXT...
The wrestling's picked up from the beginning of 2.0 for sure, but I think the reason the matches feel more weighty, more important, because there's actually stories being told.
I think 2018 and early 29 or 20. I think it was like wasn't it late 29? When was the era of just long ass matches that were kind of tedious?
Was it 2018, 2019?
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought it was like just it was like when the Wednesday Night Wars sort of were a couple months deep, so like just pre-COVID.
Well, it could be like 2018 to early 2020, maybe.
Okay. Because like 2018 is when we had like the Undisputed Era and
yeah.
Aleister Black was still there.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm looking at the YouTube thread here. There's actually a super chat here we can talk about. Coach John Pilskin says, are we going to see Bullet Club tonight with Jay White, Juice Robinson, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay? That FTR Bay and Austin photo got me excited for a match. Sweet boy.
I don't know.
Sounds like kind of a weak. I want if Jay White shows up, I don't want him to be Bullet Club. He was kicked out of Bullet Club, wasn't he? Yeah. Well, kind of by the current leader.
Kind of. Yeah.
Finley's not gonna want him back in.
I know it's gonna be if Jay doesn't go to WWE, it's a kind of a weird situation because if he goes to AEW, well then there's
just New Japan. Yeah.
I mean, there's crossover with New Japan.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes back to New Japan, then I guess they can pick up that story. But it was like so obvious that he can't go back to New Japan.
Yeah, right.
He lost to Eddie.
Yeah, he's not allowed to anymore.
No. So I guess it's AEW or Impact.
Yeah. So I don't know what we're going to see tonight on Dynamite. That brings us to this question here. Higmeister General says, "Is Tony going to make Tony's going to make a huge announcement tonight? If it's a UK show in the summer, would you guys consider coming over?" I'd love to say yes, but I don't think so. This is the thing about what we do here, and I sort of realized it over the weekend in a major way. Us talking about going to WrestleMania months and months and months ago, and then us not going there, and seeing the crowd that we had on our stream. We're like an Irish pub and WrestleMania is St. Patrick's Day, right?
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
We got to find a different thing to go to that isn't a big deal, that we can do like a live Steven Larson show, and then we can all go to the wrestling show.
I mean, that's what, like, Double or Nothing, when we went that one year, was perfect.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's something that could be recreated year after year. Obviously, it was easy that year because of StarCast was the thing, you know, and we got invited to do a show the day after Double or Nothing, and it all worked out, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
But if something like that, or all out,
especially like now that AEW's cooled off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not 1,000% necessary, but I think for like WrestleMania, like the big WWE shows, but then again, everything's in flux. If WWE starts, you know, sucking, then I don't know.
They might have to start booking WrestleManias in arenas instead of stadiums.
Yeah. But UK show this summer, maybe not. Maybe 2024, summer 2024. Because that'd be a lot of fun.
We can start saving some money up for something.
Yeah, start getting the piggy bank out.
There we go.
Yeah.
Carl Heyman here asks, which do you think is more important when it comes to elevating titles like Gunther has with the Intercontinental title so far? Compelling storyline and promos, banger matches. And Carl continues, I know both is a real answer, but you can't say that.
So I'll say this. Gunther Walter is one of the dudes that I really don't. I actually really love his promos. Because I love doing his voice. I think it's great. It's so much fun. And I like his voice, and I like his promos. They're not necessary, though. This dude is a badass in the ring, and his matches are so much fun, and they're so physical. It's that Gunther's matches are the perfect ingredients for what I like in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't really need that, the promo stuff from him, although I like his promos. So to me, it boils down to, is what they do in the ring, is that so overwhelmingly cool? Like, that to me matters more than a really top-notch promo.
I'll tell you what matters in terms of elevating a title, more than even the matches or storylines or promos. The person who has that title has to value it.
That's a good one, yeah.
You know, far too often someone wins the title and it's like, yeah, I'm champion. Like, that title needs to mean everything to you.
You know, I'll even make a really bad sort of point here to validate you. Is I thought a little bit more of the 24/7 title when Dana Brooke had it, because she seemed to take it really seriously. It wasn't just a goofball thing. And she was like, man, I really want to defend this like it's a real thing. And I was like, oh, I kind of appreciate that title now. And I kind of want them to make something, you know, out of that idea of, hey, she's going to actually defend it. Or like when Shelton Benjamin had it for a second, and it was like, oh, is he going to turn into something?
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Like Die Hard Homer says, Miro with the TNT title. That title meant everything.
It was his religion.
Everything to that character.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the title feel important to me. Like, if someone wins a title and holds it up and is like, hey, I'm champion. All right.
Yeah.
That title should drive you.
Leslie has such a great point here on YouTube. She said, I had to laugh at Mania when Gunther won. He's so stoic as the ring general, but he was one happy guy when he won. Whenever Gunther's like happy, he has a hard time hiding it.
I know.
Like when Brock Lesnar, hey, did you hear the nice things Brock Lesnar said about Gunther?
I did.
That was so cool. Let's get that match going on. Get that match in the UK.
Heck yeah. Peter Lewins here says, do you think we get any surprise debuts or call-ups on Friday at SmackDown? Raw after Mania was a bust, and if SmackDown is the same, does that mean these shows stop being must-watch after future WrestleManias? So in a lot of respects, SmackDown is going to be a litmus test for the future of WWE. If we hear Vince isn't there, if we get actually an interesting, exciting show with stuff happening, stories starting. Like, here's the thing about Raw after Mania. There's no debuts or no returns. I'm actually fine with that. That should be like your season premiere.
Yeah.
You should have major stories starting and huge story beats.
Yeah.
And apart from Brock attacking Cody, we did not get that out on Raw.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so if we hear, oh, Triple H is running SmackDown, all right, stuff happens, cool. Then that'll be great, even without debuts or returns.
I'll be honest. I don't even know. I don't know who could, like Orton. And then I guess, but they haven't really talked about, like, or the word is WWE hasn't really talked about Jay White. He might not be signing there.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I don't really know who else there would be besides. I mean, call-ups are the obvious one.
Yeah, but like probably the most expected call-up was maybe Braun. Well, he just, spoiler alert, turned heel in NXT. Yeah. He ain't getting called up anytime soon.
I don't think he's gonna get called up. We got a super chat here from the J Turk. Says WWE loves reactions, good or bad. What they're afraid of is no reaction to anyone or anything. Vince coming out to no reaction would send a message. Well, that's not going to happen, though, because here's the thing about wrestling crowds. If somebody's gone for a long time and they show up, if they're a big deal, they're going to get a reaction. So I think that situation's a little bit different. I don't know if Endeavor would be like, oh, man, everybody's saying, fuck you, go away. That's great. Yeah. I don't think that's the case if they understand, and it doesn't take too much common sense to understand. They're saying that because they don't like the product right now.
Yeah. Tony Mercer says, I go to Raw in 2 weeks. What sign should I make if Vince is still running the show creatively?
#fire Vince.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm trying to look for questions we didn't answer on the YouTube.
Moses Supposes here. Has there ever been an injury you've seen on screen that made you had to step away from watching the rest of the show for a bit?
The rest of the show?
Yeah.
I remember just how much Matt Hardy's concussion messed with me throughout the rest of, what was it, Double or Nothing 2020 or whatever it was?
Yeah, whatever one it was, yeah.
That one messed with me, man. That sullied the rest of the show because he landed with a thud and then he continued the match. And I was just sitting there like, why did they have him do that?
Yeah.
And then, that one.
Yeah, I imagine if we weren't here streaming, you might have turned it off.
It is a possibility, yeah. Yeah, I've been like, I don't want to watch this anymore. Yeah, that's a possibility. Jacob Went, who would you guys have as the first challengers for the different titles now that Mania is over? So the Intercontinental Championship. Drew one-on-one?
Yeah.
Drew one-on-one.
Yeah, Drew and Gunther would be good. For Roman, who's next for Roman?
Oh, didn't we just say that? Orton. No, Orton's for SummerSlam.
Sheamus. Sheamus for
Sheamus.
Money in the Bank.
That's in July, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 3 months away. The U.S. title, Theory.
Gosh, who's someone that can make him interesting?
Dom.
Sure, Dom.
Heel versus heel. That would be great.
Bianca.
Who's on Raw?
She's kind of beat everybody.
Yeah, she's beat everybody. They Rawgate another Bianca.
Charlotte takes a break and comes back to Raw.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You build up that one for SummerSlam or something.
There you go.
Rhea.
Shayna?
Raquel.
Okay, that's good. All right. That's going to do it for the show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.